Hi there, I'm Brenda from Lost Nation Maple Homestead. Welcome back. If you're new to my channel, make sure that if you like what you see, hit the like button and then be sure to subscribe. That really helps my channel. Today we're just going to work around the house a little bit inside, a little bit outside. But first, I'm going to eat my granola. I made it the other day with you, and we're going to just enjoy this with some milk today. Just going to do a few dishes here that were lingering around in the dishwasher and then get tidying up around the house. The kitchen's cleaned up. It's so much easier to clean it up in the summertime when I'm off from school. stick vacuum from Geneza, and I got it off Amazon, not sponsored or anything, but it does work pretty good for the wood floors particularly, because it's just better than sweeping. It just really gets it all up there. But the battery doesn't last too long. It's probably about maybe 15-20 minutes or so. So time to charge. One thing I need to do is box up this maple syrup to be shipped out. We ship out quite a bit of syrup each year, and this is just another task that I need to do. Oftentimes we ship it in priority boxes just because of the weight of the syrup. All ready to ship. So I've been feeding my sourdough starter for the last 6 days. I just barely started it 6 days ago. I'm just going to stir this up really good. And this time when I added my wheat flour and my water, I did not discard any of the previous starter. I don't know if I was supposed to do that or not. Trial and error for me. I cover it back up, put my band around the top. This is just a coffee filter that is on the top of this, and then I'm keeping it in my pantry in the corner under a towel so that it's nice and dark, and it's a lot warmer in there where the air conditioner is in here. Okay, now let's get going on some banana bread. I'm going to make some of it into muffins as well because I used my loaf pans for the meatloaf the other day, and because of how sweet that recipe was, where I had goofed up on it, I ended up keeping the meatloaf in the pans. I have a couple of bread pans, but then I also have my muffin tins, so I'll make the banana bread but put some in muffins as well. Just like my freezer meal cooking or my meal prep cooking, when I do cook, I usually double or triple the recipe so that I can have quite a bit in the freezer so that I don't have to cook that particular recipe for a little while. So this time I only happen to have 4 overripe bananas right here that are thawed, but I do have a lot of bananas in my freezer that I have frozen that were at this stage. So I'm going to get those out as well. So even though I just took these directly out of the freezer, I froze them right in their peel. It's perfectly fine to do that. I put them right on the granite countertop, and then by the time I get to that particular part in my recipe, they're thawed enough to mix in. You can also defrost the bananas in the microwave if you need to. So I preheated my oven to 350 degrees, and now we're going to get ready with I always put the dry ingredients together first. Okay, I'm going to start with my dry ingredients first, mix that together in this big bowl, and then I'm going to put my wet ingredients in the mixer aid bowl so that I can mix that up. Okay, so I've got my ingredients out. I think I'm ready. I'm going to mix the dry ingredients right into this bowl here. This recipe calls for 1 1/4 cups of sugar, but because I'm going to triple it, I'm going to do 3 3/4 cup of sugar. It's just white granulated sugar. So this is the wet ingredients. The sugar goes in 3 3/4 cup. And that gets mixed together with the butter, which is, for one recipe, is 1/2 cup of butter, so 1 stick of butter. So since I'm tripling it, I'm going to put 3 sticks of butter. And I'm going to soften the butter in the microwave, just because it was still in the freezer. So I keep a lot of butter on hand. So for the wet ingredients, the butter will go in here with the sugar once that's softened. 2 eggs will go in here, as well as the dried bananas after it's in the mixer, and buttermilk. And so here we're going to start with the flour. So it's 2 1/2 cups for one recipe, so we're tripling it, so it's going to be 7 1/2 cups of flour. I know that I don't have enough here, so I'm going to get my larger one in the pantry. So I buy flour in 25-pound bags, and I keep it in these seal-tight containers. So again, I said 7 1/2 cups of flour, right? Yep, that's right. 7 1/2 cups. Stove is preheated. Microwave is finished. And there is 7 1/2 cups of flour. Also for dry ingredients, I need 1 teaspoon of baking soda, so I'm going to triple that. Three teaspoons going in. And then the same with the salt. 3 teaspoons of salt. that up, just to make sure that it's all incorporated. I'm going to turn on my butter. And I'll probably have to hit that a few times because of how frozen it was. I'm going to fill up my flour while I'm here. I have my large container out. Half a cup of buttermilk. I don't have any actual buttermilk in my refrigerator right now, so I did buy this a week or two ago just in case I run into a problem like that. So this is cultured buttermilk blend, and basically for this you're just adding, for 1 cup of buttermilk it's 4 tablespoons of the blend and 1 cup of water, and of course it's calling for half a cup, so I need 1.5 cups. So I am going to mix this and 6 tablespoons of buttermilk blend. And I'll do that in a smaller bowl. And then 6 tablespoons of the buttermilk blend. Whisk that up really well. Don't want any clumps in there, so make sure that's whisked really well. I'd love to know if you have ever used this cultured blend of buttermilk and if it came out in your recipes. I usually always buy the refrigerated buttermilk, and it always makes my banana bread and my whoopie pies and other types of bakery items come out really well. So I'm hoping that this is going to work as well. Okay, that's frozen. Okay, so the buttermilk is ready. I'm going to need eggs here, 2, 4, 6. I'm going to have 6 eggs. That's almost what I have here. I have 8 here. I have some ingredients to make some maple balsamic vinaigrette as well. Put that in another video. My sister was over the other day and I know she loves that, and we were talking about meal prepping salad, so I think I'll make her a nice big jar of that. While I'm waiting for the microwave, I can get my nuts chopped. I usually just take a little sandwich baggie, pour in however many nuts I think I need, and for this recipe I'm probably going to use most. I could probably use all of these, and tripling the recipe. And then I just lay it on the counter. I take the end of a butter knife, take the end of a butter knife, and I just whack it on the counter. Chop them up small. I always have real small walnuts, chopped walnuts, because my dad has a hard time with large nuts and chewing on nuts, so I want to make sure I can give him some bread and some muffins. I'm going to need 3 teaspoons of vanilla, so I guess we could get that all measured out ahead of time. so it's pretty much softened. I've got my 3 cups here. I'm going to go add it to my stand mixer. So the butter and the sugar are in the mixer, so now we're just going to mix it up. Don't turn it up too high or it gets splattered. So remember, I tripled this recipe, so there's 3 3/4 cup of sugar and then 3 sticks of butter. So it's quite a bit for the mixer, but it works pretty good. So you just want to make sure that it's incorporated well before you go ahead and add your buttermilk, your eggs, and your vanilla. So it's been mixing for a few minutes. I think that's fine. I'm going to keep it on low. I'm going to put my eggs in there first. That's 6 eggs going in. And we're going to mix that well. Okay, so you want the batter to be fluffy. So mix it for a good 2 or 3 minutes so that you can make sure that the batter is nice and fluffy. Now I'm going to add in the vanilla. That was 3 teaspoons of vanilla. And you just have to make sure that's mixed in. Now I'm going to get my dry mixture that I mixed up earlier and mix it alternatively with the buttermilk. Before we do that, we need to add our bananas. So I put 3 medium-sized bananas per recipe, so I have 9 bananas here. Some are a little bit frozen still in the center, but I'm just going to mash them up a little bit with my hands to make sure that they get incorporated well. So even if they're a little bit frozen, the mixer's going to take care of it anyways. And this was just a baggie that I had with a couple bananas left over in the freezer, so I'm just going to use that up as well. Makes up for some of the smaller bananas. And these are my overripe bananas that I had on the counter. The reason that inspired this recipe this morning. It's good to gather your fragments and use up items that you have on hand. You'd be amazed at what you can actually make if you look around your kitchen, in your pantry, and in your refrigerator. Okay, we're going to mix those up. And again, I want to mix those a little bit so that they're not big chunks of bananas in there. While that's happening, I'm going to throw these out. Always clean up as you go. Makes life a whole lot easier at the end of baking. Good for the bananas. Now, as I said, I'm going to be mixing in the dry ingredients with the buttermilk alternatively. So I'm going to do a little bit of flour and then a little bit of buttermilk, mix it in, and then do the same process over again. Let the mixer mix that. I just mix it on low at this point. I don't want to over mix my batter. And once the flour looks like it's mixed in, I'm going to put some more flour in and some more buttermilk. Let that mix in. Repeat. Again, we don't want to overmix, just until the dry ingredients looks like it's mixed in. Always kind of brush off the tops of your paddles so you don't have chunks of flour in there. Take a rubber spatula and dig around there to try to scrape down the sides of your pan, the sides of your bowl. Scrape down the sides of your bowl. And then give it a little mix again, get that flour incorporated. Remember, not too much, and then take your nuts. You're gonna add your nuts in next. And again, I just sort of used what I had, mixed up the rest of that container of nuts. Again, make sure that the edges are scraped down. And again, not over mixing. Okay. Okay, so now it's time to get them into the pans. I have some silicone muffin pan liners that I think I'm going to use for these larger muffin tins. It's easier to clean out. I've got 3 mini loaf pans that I'm going to use for some bread, and then I have a large tray of 48 small mini muffins too. So that's what I'm going to do first, is get some silicone muffin liners for that. I'm just going to line the larger muffin tins. Let me know in the comments what you guys like for muffins. Would you prefer in a larger muffin or a little mini muffin to pop right in your mouth? Sometimes I like the smaller ones, but my husband prefers the bread, so I wish I had more bread pans, but I don't. So for spatula here. Off with opening up the windows to get some fresh air in the house, and now it looks like the rain is coming back to visit us once again here. Like quite a bit of rain this summer actually, here in the Northeast. Okay, so I do need to spray my muffin tin and my bread pan. So I'm just going to use some cooking spray to go ahead and make sure my muffin tins are sprayed well so the bread does not stick. Okay, and then go ahead and get the muffin tins sprayed well. Divide it up into the pans. First thing I'm going to do is take this cookie scoop and I'm going to go ahead and fill it for the muffins. It'll fill the muffin tin almost all the way. I put about 2/3 of a cup inside each muffin. Sometimes a little more than that. Looks like about 3/4 actually. This scoop might be a little bit big. I'll take the other one. I think it will actually. I think this one will be better. This will be just about what I need. That one's a little big. That's almost half a cup of that. Okay, let's try this one. Much better. One scoop does it, and then you don't have to do much thinking. You just kind of scoop it in there. banana bread or banana muffins are so simple to make once you get the recipe that you like. I've had a lot of different recipes over the years that I didn't really care for. I like my banana bread to be moist, but yet spongy a little bit. So I want to make sure that it has nice banana flavor. Okay, so now I've got the little one. I'm going to take a smaller scoop. And I'm going to bring this over here and fill the smaller tin. It's a good idea to get the batter off the pan before you put it into the oven, because then it just bakes on and it's kind of a mess and it's a lot harder to get it off. So I would just take a minute to clean around my muffin tins and my bread if I got it on the edge of the bread. In the bottom oven, I'll put the mini muffins and then the bread. I like having the two ovens, but I will say I wonder if I would have more internal space if I would have gone possibly with the one whole oven. To mix up a batch of no-knead artisan bread. It's really easy to put together. It just calls for 3 1/4 cups of all-purpose flour. You can use bread flour if you'd like to. 2 teaspoons of salt, half a teaspoon of dry active yeast, and then 1 1/2 cups of water. Now the water needs to be about 110 degrees so that the yeast will activate. So I just sort of go on the tap water, and ours is well water, so I don't want it too hot. Half a teaspoon of active dry yeast, and 1 1/2 cups of water. Water too hot. About the same temperature as your finger, a little bit warmer than your finger. That's a little warm. You don't want to kill your yeast right away, so make sure that you take a minute to think about, and I can even measure with my thermometer, which would be a great idea to do. See how. Okay, so this is at 113 right out of the tap. So I'm just going to let that cool just a little bit. You're going to need 3½ cups of all-purpose flour. And then 2 teaspoons of salt. This is a ½ teaspoon measure, so I'm just going to put 4 of these in. I'm going to whisk this around. I'm going to whisk this around. Incorporate the salt into the flour. I'm going to take a temperature check on my water here. Yeah, that's 108, so that's fine. So I'm going to mix this in with the yeast. And again, it doesn't have to be perfect. I for sure have guesstimated on the water temperature. I've made this artisan loaf, gosh, many times so far, and it's always come out really good. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and mix this in. Just dump the yeast and water mixture into the dry ingredients, and we're just mixing until it gets to be a shaggy dough. So I use this Danish dough whisk, but you can use, I didn't have this for the longest time, and I just used a spoon, so that's fine. So you want a real shaggy dough. So it needs to look like this, really kind of shaggy. So you just don't want any dry pieces mixed in there, but you definitely don't really need it all completely combined. Mostly just so your dough comes off the side of the pan. I am famous for not setting the timer. So the breads and these are like 25 minutes, so I'm going to go 23 minutes. And then the bread is about 40 minutes for the mini loaves, and the mini muffins are only about 20. So I'm going to do about 40 minutes, and then I'll check the mini muffins when the smaller muffins come out. They don't usually take quite as long. Actually, Alexa, set a timer for 15 minutes. Okay, so you got your shaggy dough here. I'm just going to kind of formed. Okay. Need a little bit more flour. You want the dough to be a little sticky, but not what I had. If I just mix a little bit of flour in there, I might have mixed a little too much, but it'll probably be fine. Okay, leave it a go with that. Alright, I think that's all I'm doing for today, as far as cooking is concerned. Rotate these muffins, switch the sides of the oven carefully, and then rotate that one that cooks a little darker. Okay, and this definitely needs to be rotated. It's almost, they are almost done. about 5 more minutes. I'm going to take the little mini muffins out of the pan now. They're pretty much cool. You don't want to take them out too early or they will fall apart. Easily with the silicone liners. So you get one that was a little overfilled. So that tripling that batch allowed for 24 large muffins, 48 small mini muffins, and then 3 mini loaves of bread. So that will keep the freezer stocked up for a little while. And then I do the same thing with cookies when I start to bake any cookies or desserts or something like that. I usually at least double or triple the recipe and make a whole bunch, and then we can just pull them. I freeze them in quart-sized containers, about 6 or 7 cookies, sometimes 8 cookies to a bag, and then we just take out a bag of cookies when we need them for the cookie jar. Works out a lot better. Sometimes with my cookies, sometimes I'll freeze the dough and then have the dough available to cook. But I found that just cooking the entire cookie itself and then freezing it in the Ziploc bags, they taste just the same even after a couple of months of being in the freezer. So that tends to be what I do mostly. Okay, so the muffin tins here will not need much washing because the silicone muffin liners did their job. But I will have to wash the silicone liner muffin tins. But they don't take too long. I let them soak in some soapy water for a little bit, and then I just rinse around and scrub them with my hands, and they usually come pretty clean. Now with bread, usually I will take a toothpick or a skewer or something and just, if it comes out clean, it's done. And they are done. Just in time. Okay, so I'm just going to let them cool on the wire rack in their pan until completely cool. If you take bread out too soon from the pan, it's going to stick. So let it cool completely and then run a knife around the edge, and then I'll pop it out of the pan and put the loaves on the drying rack to continue to cool. So you can see that the muffins are done. They look great. They're going to be a great snack. I'll try one just to see the flavor. These are just how I like them. A little bit crispy on the outside, nice and tender and soft on the inside. Has a great flavor. I love the walnuts in there. It's going to be a great snack. My net container. Next time. I guess I'm pretty organized now. I've got my kitchen all cleaned up. My flour, sugar, and nuts are refilled. The muffins have come out of the oven. I tasted one, they taste wonderful. And I'm just waiting for the bread to cool to get that out of the pans. But as you can see, we've got wonderful color on top of the bread. Nice cracking. The muffins, the mini muffins are great. little crispy on the outside, nice and soft on the inside, and then those larger muffins came out nice too. Thank you so much for watching. If you're new here or brand new to my channel, please hit that subscribe button. I hope to make a new video each week on homemaking, scratch cooking, and recipes featuring maple as a sweetener. Thank you for stopping by our homestead.